welcome to the Top Tech Podcast. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Mix.
and we've
And
got a
I'm
guest.
Ashmain speaking.
Well,
Yeah.
he already did it.
All right.
Damn it.
Yeah,
there
I
goes
already
the
did
surprise.
And we've got a guest on today,
A
called
very special friend.
a very special friend of ours. Why
Special
don't you introduce
indeed.
yourself?
But yeah, it's gonna be me and Danny and Jermaine today, and we're gonna be talking about Arkham City. So, quick recap: we scored, reviewed, and rambled on about Arkham Asylum last week. And we found a lot of you liked it. Well, for those of you who are still with us, thank you. It's been nice having support. And yeah, we figured let's go on with the trilogy. Trilogy.
Trilogy, because one game doesn't count.
But yeah, we're here with Ajmain today. Ajmain, is there anything you'd like to talk about regarding yourself?
I've always considered myself to be a massive DC fan. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Arkham games, like Daniel and Migs here. So, I'm as big of a fan as them. So, yeah, this series means a lot to me, and I'm very excited to talk about the second installment in the series. That's Batman Arkham City. So, let's get to it then, Migs.
Great, how long have you been playing?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been playing?
The first time I've played Arkham City was on my PS4, like when the remastered came out. It was in 2016. So it's been 4 years, and I've finished the story like more than once, like both the main story and I've replayed it every once in a while. And then I got it from my PC last year in 2019. So I've been playing a lot on my PC. So I'm enjoying it. Like, it's Arkham City. It's a gold mine, honestly, in
Very
terms
true.
of both
Very
gaming and
true.
superhero stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, long story short, I guess we've all established that we're all nerds. And yeah, I guess we're going to have some fun with this one. So, quick overview for everyone who's forgotten how we do this. We're going to have 10 subtopics. Then you want to read them out for the crowd of you?
Absolutely. So if you haven't watched the last video, which is okay, although I would recommend going back to that, because Arkham Asylum is the predecessor to Arkham City, and there's a lot of stuff that it could spoil Arkham Asylum for you going into this. So the topics that we have is plot and script, gameplay, graphics and technicalities, world design and atmosphere, character design and voice acting, sound design and game score, bugs, collectibles and achievements, extras and DLC, and replayability. Now there's a lot of ands there, but there's only 10.
Yep, just 10. And each
just
one
10.
is out of 10 decks.
Decks, decided.
No, we're not changing that scoring system. It's always going to be 10 decks. Deal with it.
Alright. Excellent.
Yep.
Well, our first topic is plot and script.
Yeah, and I guess we might as well start, right? Ajmain, what about you? You have anything else you want to say before we start? Or
Regarding the plot and script, as a DC fan as a whole, like, it was interesting seeing a Batman game that was based on something completely original. Arkham City as a topic is not something that's taken from the comics or from some movie. It's something that was original, and that was something created specifically for this Arkham game universe.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when playing it for the first time, there's a lot of anticipation and a lot of excitement going into playing the game, because
Yeah,
it's something
true.
completely
Yeah,
new,
absolutely.
and there's this excitement. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, when it comes to my first impressions, I was really excited to play a very new thing.
I guess going into, the nitty-gritties of plot and script, Daniel, what do you want to say, just as we delve into...
I guess
How-
before we do an introduction to the plot, before
Yeah,
we
yeah, let's go ahead with it,
into
yeah.
details. And before I do that, let's do an introduction. Batman Arkham City was released in 2011.
Yep.
And it got multiple Game of the Year awards, more than Arkham Asylum did.
Correct.
And yeah, it was much longer, it was more open world, made a lot more revolutionary things, especially for 2011. Anyway, plot and script. Basically, it continues a year after Arkham Asylum. Is that right, Ajmain, the year?
I think so. Like, it's around it is a year.
Yeah, it's a year.
Um,
And then
yeah.
basically, Bruce Wayne is trying to shut down this mega prison that Hugo Strange has initiated called Arkham City.
Which is just a part of Gotham that's cordoned off and
Yeah, very lazy,
Yeah.
kind of walled off area of Gotham City. Basically, Bruce Wayne gets arrested, taken into Arkham City. He obviously suits
While he
up.
was protesting against the city, like he was at a rally, and then he gets
Yeah.
arrested by the Arkham
Yeah.
City guards.
Yeah,
And just after getting arrested, he's interrogated sort of by Hugo Strange.
Mhm.
And that's when he realizes, whoop-de-doo, Hugo Strange knows that he's Batman. And
Oh, yeah,
cat's out of the bag. And
Yep.
that is a huge driving factor for what he does in Arkham City for the span of this game.
absolutely.
And it's interesting to see what Bruce Wayne does, because he's in a very precarious sort of position here. There's a supervillain that knows his true identity, and at the same time, there's a mega prison that he's kind of sort of trapped in because he needs to figure this out and solve the problem. He can't really leave.
And the identity is the only thing he has.
Yeah. And not just that, he has to worry about protecting everyone that's associated to the Batman name, because if he's outed, everyone else is outed alongside him, like Alfred and Barbara Gordon as Oracle and Robin, all the Robins pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a very good implementation of the script in this sense, because that's what gave Batman in this installment of the Arkham games his motivation to do what he does,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And it's a nice contrast from Asylum, because in City, he's a lot more focused, because obviously there's a huge stake involved for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Of course.
what we're going to get into is there's another stake that's involved, right?
Yeah.
So after Batman becomes Batman, not just Bruce Wayne, because he eventually escapes. Well, not escapes.
He
but-
can't. He doesn't
yeah.
escape as he's
Yeah.
tossed into Arkham City.
Yeah, he's tossed into Arkham City,
Yeah.
eventually becomes Batman. He has a little run-in with Penguin. Once he's suited up, he goes after Catwoman for a bit, but again, we'll get into that later. And basically, Catwoman almost gets shot by Joker, who's hiding out in a church tower. Batman goes and investigates. Batman traps Joker into the steel mill, and Joker infects Batman with his diseased blood from the Titan formula from last game.
Yeah. So
So
small.
apparently, like, Joker gets infected with a disease that was caused by the Titan formula that he
Yeah.
used in the previous game, Arkham Asylum. And it has been affecting him for nearly a year now. Like, by the
Yeah.
time the game starts, he's been very sick, and it's been affecting him horribly, and he needs to get a cure soon, or else he
He's
was gonna
dead.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was gonna
and
die if he
it's-
didn't get a cure soon.
I think you could say that it's a good tie back to Arkham Asylum, isn't it? Because when you have continuity in terms of a script, it's kind of nice for the
Yeah.
for the old fans, especially if you were playing Arkham City the first time and like, hey, this is tied to Asylum. It's cool to see that.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
are some other side missions that are tied to Asylum.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
in time tonight. But again, we'll go over that later, whether in this podcast or later one. After that, Bruce finds out that Mr. Freeze has the cure. Freeze isn't where he thought he would be. Batman goes to the museum, another run-in with Penguin. I'm trying to simplify this as best I can.
Long story short, beats up the Penguin, freeze.
Yep. Helps him get his suit back.
And then he needs to visit Ra's al Ghul, right?
Yeah, it needs to visit Rachel Gold
Yeah.
because they track an assassin to Wonder City. Which
Wait,
is
we
where-
didn't tell why he needs to visit Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, because
yeah.
Rachel
He
Gold has.
needs Raish because of his DNA. Like, there is an
Yeah.
enzyme in Ra's al Ghul's blood that can help create the cure for Joker.
Jesus, that's like.
But
one actual
apparently that
Yeah.
enzyme only exists like that enzyme only exists in very specific natural substances, and Ra's al Ghul is the nearest one.
And this
because-
is why we have Ajmain in the podcast, ladies and gents. He's good at this type of stuff.
He's a walking encyclopedia.
well, I'm glad to be here. Like, yeah, Arkham's a big deal for me. So yeah, when Freeze and Batman are discussing this enzyme, they discover that there's a League of assassin stuck inside the
One
museum
of
where
Cobblepot's displays, right? Yeah.
yeah, in one of Penguin's displays, there's an assassin stuck in there, and she hears about Rachel Gould, and she breaks out, and then she heads off to where Rachel Gould presumably is, and Batman follows her, and then we get to Rachel Gould eventually.
I mean, along that, he runs into Robin as well, right? With the whole line launch.
Definitely, yeah.
So it was nice. It was nice to see dialogue between Robin and Batman as well, because that's something you didn't see until Arkham City.
Yeah, there was very little Batman interaction.
In Asylum, obviously, it was the first of its kind.
It's also
well, was Robin even mentioned in Asylum?
Was he?
No.
Was he even mentioned?
No, there was no
he
mention of
wasn't.
him at all.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a character bio. Like
No.
that was
Yeah.
disappointing.
No mention of Dick Grayson or Tim Drake or anything like that either.
Yeah.
Also, on the way to the Lazarus Pit or whatever, Batman frequently gets sick, right? He's frequently collapsing and stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of people be like, how has Joker survived a year doing this, but Batman's already on the verge of death? Well, for starters, Batman got a direct blood transfusion from Joker, and they obviously don't have the same blood type. It's very rare that anyone could survive that long. So
Exactly.
Your body would start hemorrhaging and stuff, right?
yeah, and I mean that's why Batman couldn't hardly walk by that point. It was coughing up blood and stuff because his blood was not compatible with Joker's. So pretty sadistic, to be honest.
Also, this is a bit of a comic book thing, but it's been always implied that Joker's blood is poisonous as it is. So
I mean,
it kind of factored in.
What with
aside from the Titan formula
as well? Yeah.
Yeah. Joker's blood is automatically poisonous, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So from there, Batman runs into his lover,
into Talia
al Ghul.
The one and only.
Batman says he wants to be an assassin, and in turn he drinks the demon's blood. He passes a trial, and he meets Rachel Gould. Turns out he does not, in fact, want to become an assassin because that means killing people.
And he just needed to work himself into a position where he could get Rachel's blood for the enzyme.
Yep. So they have a big fight. Batman slaps some ass, and Batman gets Rachel's blood.
And then he goes back to Mr. Freeze with the blood sample, in hopes that Mr. Freeze would make the cure. And Mr. Freeze makes the cure on the spot, and then chucks the cure in a safe. Well, he has 2 vials of the cure, chucks 1 vial in a safe, and, Bats is like, I want that vial. And, Mr. Freeze denies him that privilege, and then proceeds to tell him that the Joker has his wife as a hostage, has Mr. Freeze's wife as a hostage, and that is why he cannot give Batman the cure.
Pretty logical, if you ask me.
Yeah, but one thing Mr. Freeze didn't account for is he was disagreeing with Batman, and afterwards,
disagree with the
Batman slaps some more ass.
Batman slaps more ass, and probably what is the most epic boss fight in all of Arkham.
And all gaming.
God,
yeah.
Gotta get some
awesome boss battle.
But and what happens in the midst of that is, well, just before they start fighting, Mr. Freeze destroys one of the vials, meaning there's only 1 vial of the cure remaining, and that vial was in a safe in Mr. Freeze's lair. But after they're done fighting, it comes to their attention that that vial has been stolen by, well, Harley Quinn, whilst they were fighting, pretty much. And it's at that point Batman realizes, well, I either have to get this cure or I'm dead, and Joker's going to start, wreaking mayhem everywhere.
Yeah.
He makes amends with Mr. Freeze, promises to find his wife. Mr. Freeze gives him some cool tech, and from that point he goes straight to the steel mill, right, Ashwin?
I think he does.
Well, ignoring the side stories, I guess.
Yeah, ignoring the side stuff.
Yeah, because as soon as you go to steel mill, that initiates end game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he gets a transmission or something, like he locates a Joker's transmission and locates him to the steel mill.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? Yeah.
And then he goes in there, has to go through the most dangerous way possible, as Oracle put it.
No, that was the first time, right?
Yeah, no. Like, Batman says, "Oh, I need to find a way into the steel mill." or says, "Oh, the chimneys like explode or something."
Yeah, the chimneys
It's
on
you
fire.
want the most dangerous
Yeah.
way possible. And Batman
Mm.
says, "Of course," or something like that. So he goes through the heat transfer, which is a fantastic idea. And
Yeah.
he uses his very cold freeze blast on very hot water. And he goes through that area of the steel mill. He finds Joker eventually, bumping into a lot of thugs along the way.
Yeah.
And Joker's there putting his makeup on, not very suspiciously at all. And then they have
And as soon as the Joker turns to face him, say, "Whoa, he's cured, right?"
Cured, right? Ooh, woo.
Yeah. What a shocker! Like it's.
But yeah, from that point, there's another battle initiated.
Oh, yeah, because we forgot to mention that the cure was stolen from the safe.
Well, yeah, obviously. No, we did mention.
We did mention
Yeah,
that?
we did.
Okay, we did mention that. My bad.
But yeah, it appears the Joker got the cure, right? And they start fighting, whatnot. And then huge explosions happen, and Batman gets trapped under some rubble, right?
Yeah.
Turns out Hugo Strange's master plan all game long was to kill all the villains in Arkham City.
Kill every single piece of scum.
Like Batman
except himself.
heard about this plan, which is named Protocol 10. Like, he heard about this from the beginning of the game, but he did not know what Protocol 10 was. He was just trying to figure out what it was, and
no one did.
As you play through the game, you hear about stuff like Protocol 10 is gonna be commenced in a few hours, or like it's gonna be commenced soon. And Batman's like, "I'm running out of time, but I still don't know what it is." But
yeah, because he had to focus on saving himself too.
Yeah, after the rubble thing, like when Hugo Strange starts attacking all the inmates, that's when he finds out that Protocol 10's about eradicating all the criminals in Arkham City.
Oh, also we forgot to mention one thing. Just as the rubble collapses, we see Talia al Ghul come into the scene.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and take the Joker away because the Joker was about to shove a sword or shove a dagger or something through Batman's face, I guess.
How about a joke?
Yeah. And Talia al Ghul comes along and says, if you want immortality, just let the bat go, and I'll give you immortality, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the last we see. Well, that's presumably the last we see of that cutscene, because right after that, we transition into a Catwoman cutscene. Also note, there's one thing that we forgot to mention. The game starts with Catwoman, which is another interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of Catwoman stuff going on, but
I think we'll address that more in gameplay, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's because it's more DLC, really, isn't it? Because it was originally released as part of the Game of the Year edition.
True.
So Catwoman eventually saves Batman from this rubble after a choice. Again, we'll go into that. And then Protocol 10 has been activated. Batman goes after Strange. There's not really any plot points in between him going up Wonder Tower or anything like that, is there?
Not really. Yeah. Nothing too interesting until we get. Until we get to the top of Wonder Tower.
Wonder Tower, yeah.
And that's when we get the big reveal that Ra's al Ghul was behind Strange the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And I guess no one saw that coming, and we realized that Ra's wanted this whole sort of scheme to happen, just to test how good Batman is. That's why Ra's outed Batman's identity to Hugo Strange.
Yeah.
And in true comic book fashion, they have a heated argument just after Ra's kills Hugo Strange, and they tumble out of a window as Hugo Strange activates Protocol 11.
Yeah.
Passcode Wayne.
Yeah.
And destroys Wonder Tower just after he got stabbed in the chest stabbed. I just after he got stabbed in the chest by Ra's al Ghul. As they tumble out the window, Batman tries to save Ra's, except Ra's doesn't want to be saved, and he shoves his own sword through his own chest.
Hoping to get Batman
in as well. But Bats escapes that, and Rash's dead corpse stumbles right onto a spike in one
the
of
logo of
Yeah.
Arkham City.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah,
It was
on the logo. Of
nice
the Arkham City
cutscene,
one.
really good cutscene.
I would just
Um,
like to add in that it just displays how different these two characters are. Like on one hand, there's Batman who's falling to his death, but he's also trying hard to save
Yeah.
one of his worst enemies.
Yeah.
And on the other, there's Rachel Ghoul who doesn't even care about his own life and decides to impale himself just to kill Batman.
Yeah, I mean,
it just goes to show.
obviously Raish didn't care
Yeah.
because he knew his followers would find his body and dump him in a Lazarus pit, right?
Yeah, they will revive
Yeah,
him.
that's
Yeah,
just
but-
that's an incredible concept of immortality.
Mm.
Killing yourself to kill another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because you know you'll get out of it alive. And honestly, I feel like, looking back at it, I feel like Raish wanted to kill Batman because he could also revive Batman.
Mm.
You know, and then hold him, hold that as a debt. You know, as a favor that could be
Yeah.
cashed in. But anyways,
That's a good
talking
point
more
to
about-
make. Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. Like reviving Batman and then making him be in debt of Raish.
But I think
So,
we have
that's a
we
good
have
way
a
to
lot
think
more to
about it.
talk about. But I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we
of
should just finish this overview. What else? Oh yeah, right after that, you know, Batman.
Get the transmission from Joker.
Yeah,
On that TV.
yeah, and he has to go to the Monarch Theater.
Like that, very ironic.
Yeah, ironically enough, where his parents died near Crime Alley. But anyways, Batman takes out a bunch of thugs, goes into the theater, and that is the true endgame there, because whilst the Joker, quote unquote, holds Talia hostage, and starts teasing the Batman, the Joker
Yeah.
also asks him to give him his cure. And Batman's just like, wait, what are you talking about? And just at that point, Talia, disarms the Joker, whips out her own sword, I think, or her confiscated sword, and stabs him through the chest. And everyone's like, oh, wait, Joker died, what? And, Batman's all confused because, well, not confused, really. He was in a bit of shock, firstly, because his arch nemesis is now dead. And Talia was telling him it was the only way, beloved, or something like that.
Beloved.
God, got so sick of hearing that.
Lots of beloved, and that's one scene alone.
But hold up, what happened with Joker asking for the cure? Wasn't he already cured because he looked all fine and everything? And that's when a gunshot rings through the theater, and Talia gets shot in the back, and you can hear the Joker's wheezing laughter cue in, and turns out the Joker was sick all along, because right at the back of the theater, the Joker was there. And you have this nice flashback sequence that happens right there, where
how do you keep a secret from the world's greatest detective? You stick it right in front of Ryder's long,
pointy nose.
And wait!
But yeah, it turns out there had been two Jokers, except the fake Joker was Clayface.
Basil Carlo, the one and only.
Yep.
Just before Talia dies as well, it is revealed that Talia stole the cure from Harley Quinn. And Talia hands this cure to Bats, or rather tries to hand that cure to Bats just before she's shot. And as she gets shot in the back, Clayface reveals himself to be Clayface, and he takes that cure in an effort to try and kill the Batman and then give that cure to the Joker. But that is kind of halted, I guess, because you come into the last boss battle of the main campaign, which is fighting Clayface.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah. But yeah, you beat Clayface's Batman, you get the cure, you drink some, and you leave some for the Joker. And there's a lot of rubble and whatnot, right? Because just before you drink the cure, you stop the Joker from jumping into a Lazarus pit.
Yeah. Which you do this fucking awesome sword throw.
Yeah, just one flick of the sword that goes straight into
Actually,
some console.
I'm gonna have to correct you there. He doesn't drink the cure until after
After that,
it all ends.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah.
So he keeps on fighting Clayface, and then they have a fight, and then there's the boss fight.
Yeah.
And then
they get
right
dropped
before
below.
it ends.
They get dropped below to the Lazarus pit under the Monarch Theater. And Clayface keeps fighting, and then Batman beats him, and then gets the cure back, right? And just before he's about to drink it, I think the Joker wants to jump into that pit. Batman yeets his sword. Everything starts collapsing just because the sword hit that one thing, which I still find pretty funny.
Yeah, it's Batman.
It's
Come
Batman.
on, man.
Yeah, it's Batman moment.
Dr. Lucky.
Yeah, Dr. Lucky indeed.
But yeah, that happens, and after the rubble settles and the dust clears, Batman's just standing around searching for the joke, and he takes a quick gulp of the cure, saves some for the joke, and there's this interesting bit of dialogue, and then the Joker just piggyback jumps onto Batman and stabs him in the shoulder.
Real
And-
deep too.
Real deep. Jesus, that would hurt.
Oh my god.
And
It looked really painful.
yeah,
Like, even for us, like as the viewers.
and obviously Batman drops the damn vial then, right? And
What did you expect?
yeah,
You said,
yeah, you get stabbed in the arm, you drop what was in your damn hand, obviously. And yeah, the rest of the cure is, well, lost, and the Joker's just scrambling about on the ground trying to get the rest of the cure in his mouth, but he can't because there's nothing left. And he dies.
He dies.
He
Yeah,
dies.
like,
Joker-
right before that, like there's this very like iconic piece of line
Yeah, you want to
where
know?
Batman
you
says
wanna
that
hear a
even
joke?
after
You want to hear a joke?
yeah, like
You want to hear something funny?
yeah, want to hear a
Yeah,
joke?
something funny. my
Even
bad.
after all you did,
I would have saved it.
I still would have saved you. And Joker actually stopped laughing because
His
he
last
actually
laugh,
thinks it is a
yeah.
good joke. He
That
didn't
actually
expect
is.
Batman out of all the people to say it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
that's
the way it's being executed, it was so like heart wrenching. Like
Mm,
you can feel the pain. Like Joker's laughing, but
it's an
you,
ironic laugh.
you can
yeah.
feel it exactly. And as a like as a fan, you get to feel that very interesting feeling seeing two of your favorite characters say goodbye to each other forever.
Mm.
Like
When you put it like that, it's really sad.
yeah, it is honestly like that's how
Yeah.
I thought of it anyway.
Then Batman carries Joker, not Talia,
Not his beloved's corpse, but rather his arch nemesis's corpse.
or maybe his one true love.
Ooh.
His one true love out of Arkham City and places him on a police car. Commissioner Gordon tries to
Talk to
talk
him.
to Batman, but
no
Batman ain't
avail.
having it.
Yeah.
Batman just walks out. There's a really nice shot of Batman's Bat logo as he walks into the camera, and then fade to black. Roll credits.
And that is the second installment of the Arkham games. Well, enough of the overview. Let's talk some trash. Let's talk some good and bad. And in true top deck style, let's decide how we're gonna score it, right? But before we get to the story, what do you think are some of the most key elements in the script that really gave it some good marks?
Well, Batman's humanity /
Mortality.
mortality.
Yeah.
100%. That's
Yep.
if you were some supernatural superhero, you wouldn't care if you got poisoned.
Exactly.
As we mentioned last time, Batman's a guy in a suit.
Mm.
Hell, if you get cut, then you're going to get cut. You start bleeding.
Yeah.
That's why Batman is so determined to both look for the cure and make sure his identity isn't revealed.
Mm.
He's occupied with two very crucial things at once.
And two very humane sort of worries, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because he's not even worried
Mhm.
about getting outed for his own safety. It's mostly for everyone he cares about, right? For Alfred and for Oracle and for Tim Drake and Dick Grayson. And yeah, it's an interesting sort of plot line because his main driving factor is again born of a selfless sort of motive, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And within that selfless motive, Ajmain, what do you agree that really brought out his desperation? In how he fights, in how he has his dialogue, Yeah, there's still witty remarks and whatnot, but it's just brutal desperation that drives him, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's like compared to the first game, like compared to Arkham Asylum, that is, there is a lot more tension riding on Batman this time. And with tension like that, you like as a gamer, you have to feel that as well. Like you have to remind the player, like from time to time, that time's running out and that like something bad's gonna happen soon if you don't act on it. And
Very true.
I
Very
think
true.
that, as you just said, the dialogue really helped to deliver that sense of tension regarding Batman, mostly because Like,
Yeah, because you need a good script in order to further the immersion of a game, right? And by
Yeah.
fully putting out this desperate sort of Batman through the script, I mean, it really helped us when we were playing the game to stand in his shoes, right?
yeah, definitely. Also, like there are like two levels of tension. Like before he gets infected, he really wants to know where he is. Like he wants to know what Arkham City is about and what
Yeah.
Protocol 10 is about.
Yeah,
That's the first
and how in
level
the
of
hell
tension.
did Hugo Strange get to know his identity? Yeah.
Yeah, like three very big plot points to carry already. And then after that, you get infected with Joker's blood, like Joker's Titan infected blood. And
very shortly after that. Yeah.
that's
And notably,
yeah,
Joker doesn't care about Batman's identity.
Yeah. Because that
Yeah.
cutscene where Harley is like about to lift off Batman's mask, and it's like, but I want to see who he is, honey. And what was it? People are always.
No ones who think
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have an
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Why spoil
Yeah.
the fun?
Yeah.
like
That was
we'll
a
talk
interesting
about this
part.
in the extras, but there are like some voice dialogue, like extra voice dialogue in the extras for Joker, and he sends voicemail to Batman saying more details about why he doesn't care about his identity.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that in the
I
extras
remember that
section.
bit. But yeah, more about his desperation. I think that desperation was key. It was a key factor. Sorry, in pushing his ability to trust his adversaries. Wouldn't you agree? Like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze, for example.
Speaking of Mr. Freeze, like this level of trust, like this topic of trust between him and his adversaries, like it's beautifully illustrated with Freeze because there are two sides of it. There's the side where he trusts Freeze with his life and helps him do whatever he needs to do to get the cure.
Yeah.
And then when Freeze turns on him, his desperation, his desperation dials up to 11, and he's like, I don't want to play this game with you anymore. That's when you sense that things got ugly. Like things just got really ugly between them.
Because while he still trusts Freeze, he's also not gonna hold back in showing Freeze that he is the boss, right? Like as soon as you're done with that Freeze boss battle, he just keeps punching and punching and punching and punching.
He's desperate as hell. Like he
You don't
needs to
want
get
to
him.
do this, Freeze.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But still, he does trust Freeze because even after Freeze turns on him in the side mission, right? He finds out where Freeze's wife is, and delivers her. Well, rather delivers her position and location to Freeze. So it is a sort of mutual relationship when it comes to.
It's a sense of understanding because they're both doing whatever they have to do for someone they love.
Yeah.
Batman to his parents and Freeze to his wife.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True, very true.
In saying that, though, Arkham City has a lot more of a selfish motive. Batman's doing what he has to do to save his identity and his life.
True.
Whereas Arkham Asylum, Batman's doing what he has to do for Gotham.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Regarding this like selfish part, also Gotham is also infected in this game. Joker sends out his infected blood.
True.
So he is selfish. Like, of course, he has to save his life, but he also has to save Gotham from becoming infected with Joker's blood. Yeah. So there's this classic Batman motive there as well, where he has to save Gotham, but on top of that, it gets interesting because he has to save his own life as well. So that's what makes it really interesting.
It was a well done script in that aspect, don't you think?
It certainly was.
Certainly something that's like we've talked about this last week as well, but it's something that's very lacking in modern games. Having a good script.
Yeah.
But what else? Oh yeah, well we haven't even talked about the side. Well, we did touch the side missions, I guess, with Nora Freeze. But the side missions were also, to a certain extent, a little important in driving home the main script and the main plot.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah.
Not
some
all
of them.
Not all of them. Like, for example, even Hush's side mission. We'll talk about this with a little bit more sauce when we come to night.
Yeah.
But Hush's side mission was particularly nice because Bruce Wayne Oracle was going. Are you going mad? Are you traipsing around as Bruce Wayne and killing people? Because there was someone with Bruce Wayne's face, apparently. going in murdering people, right?
Because at that point, there is no other logical explanation.
Yeah,
like,
because
the guy looks like Bruce Wayne is killing people.
and
like,
Bruce
what else
Wayne,
would people
Batman,
think?
was poisoned, and driven to the point of insanity almost, because he's desperate, right? People know, well, there's a person who knows that he's Batman, and at the same time, there's poison in his blood. He's about to die. Anyone would go mad.
Yeah.
And that was a good side mission to sort of question that.
And when they were saying, "Oh, his face looks all messed up and stuff," well, of course it does. 'Cause
Exactly.
So Batman didn't know what to think.
Yeah,
He was like,
yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah.
my face looks messed
Am
up."
I the bad guy?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good side mission. Again,
It was rewarding, like knowing that at the end, like after you solve all the clues, after you find all these dead bodies, and you piece all the clues together, you find out where
where Hush,
killer
where
is,
Hush's hideout is. Yeah.
and you find out that it is Hush, aka like Thomas Elliot, like Tommy Elliot, Bruce Wayne's childhood best friend, and basically his parents also died, but
his parents
it was
died
later
because Thomas Elliot made it that way, right?
Yeah, he killed them. Like he caused their car to crash because he wanted to inherit their fortune.
But yeah, that's more lore related to when we get there.
Yeah, that's more lore related. But basically, the reason why he gets Bruce Wayne's face is because the Waynes kind of saved his mom, and he did not end up getting the fortune. So he blames everything on the Waynes. And now that Bruce Wayne's parents are dead, like they've been dead for a long time, he wants to take out his revenge on
Bruce,
Batman, and Bruce Wayne, and he takes on his face, and that's it. That's how the game ends. Like, not the game, like the side mission ends.
It was a rather satisfying side mission. It's just...
It was rewarding.
When we get to night, geez, we have a lot to say about it.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the alternative endings are also a nice touch in City, don't you think, Ajvan?
I think so. Like, especially with Catwoman. Like, there is after Batman gets stuck in the rubble, like we discussed earlier, when Joker heads off with Talia, where after Talia tells him that she can make him immortal, Bruce is stuck under the rubble, and while that's happening, Catwoman's busy taking loot from Strange's vault, and there comes a point where she has to decide, like after she gets the loot, after some gameplay and stuff, she has to decide whether she can save Batman or she can leave Gotham. She can leave Arkham City and escape with her loot and be free. So what happens is that if you don't save Batman, if you take the other ending and if you leave Arkham City, the game kind of ends. Like there's the surprise
Batman
ending.
dies, and you hear all this dialogue, right? Like, everyone's storming.
Yeah, you hear all this dialogue.
Yeah,
Wayne Manor's being infiltrated by Tiger Guards, like the guards that patrol Arkham City.
That he was Strange control.
Yeah, they're invading Bruce Wayne's mansion, like the Wayne Manor, that is, and everything's lost, like all hope's lost. Oracle's like crying out for help, expecting someone to come and help them.
But everyone's
basically Gotham's doomed. Yeah, that's like that was a very interesting and very it was a likable
alternate
ending. Yeah, because it wasn't something just it wasn't meh. It was enjoyable. Like
makes you appreciate how much Gotham needed Batman.
Yeah, it makes you realize and appreciate how much important Batman has become to Gotham. Like, Batman's dead, everything's lost. Like, right then and there, everything's gonna go downhill. So yeah, there's that. But after the credits roll, like I said, the game ends basically because Batman dies and the game ends. If you take that alternate ending and after the credits roll, it spectacularly rewinds back to the point where Catwoman is forced to make a choice.
Yeah.
In her gameplay, and
asks you to make it again.
Yeah, and asks you to make the same, to make the choice again. And basically, the game wants you to make the right choice and save Batman because that's the canonical choice.
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty interesting ending because normally you don't get the chance to go back, right?
That'll be
some games, you take the alternate ending and it's over. Game over. And then you either have to play the whole game again and choose the right ending. But this time it was cool. The game made you choose the right ending right away. So it was a good thing.
I guess it's just one of those things about how the Arkham games are, right? They have all these intricacies and whatnot. And speaking about intricacies, actually, the whole Clayface reveal, they did tease it throughout the whole campaign, right? Because you hear bits and pieces
Yeah.
of dialogue, like when you first enter the steel mill, how you can hear Harley in the background going, "Oh, Mr. J, is that really you? You look so pretty," and all that, and then you get Joker
It's
like,
like
"Shut up,
I
Harley."
actually remember the exact dialogue. She's like, Mr. J, you look perfect. Oh wait, it's not
Yeah.
you, is?" And then Joker
Yeah,
cuts her and
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
"Quiet! You're gonna spoil the whole fun for him."
Yeah,
And
yeah. For
that's
Batman,
one of the
yeah.
big points. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
and
also the
another
mirror.
giveaway. The mirror, and not just that, the other giveaway is when you're fighting Joker in that little steel mill segment just before the rubble collapses on you and Talia takes Joker away. If you use your
Yep.
detective vision, you see that the Joker that you're fighting doesn't have a skeleton. It's like, wait, what?
Which shouldn't make sense. Like, that's a dead giveaway. Like, if you
Yeah,
have played
very dead
Asylum,
giveaway.
there's an Easter egg for Clayface in
Yeah,
that game,
yeah,
and if
yeah.
you use your detective vision to see Clayface in that game, he doesn't also have a skeleton because he's the only character who doesn't have that.
Yeah, because
So
he's made of clay.
yeah, he's made of clay. Like, he has no bones. Come on, like, he's not an ordinary human being. So that was a good callback to Asylum as well. Like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
first established in Asylum, and yeah,
Again, good
So-
continuity on terms of the script.
good
It's fine.
continuity, exactly.
But yeah, I think is that it, Daniel? Do we have anything more to cover on in terms of the script before we score it?
There is some other side mission stuff that we haven't really talked about. Like
Yep.
Azrael, for
Mhm.
instance.
Yeah.
True.
There's not much going on there. You just find him in certain places because he's watching some significant events of yours.
Basically
Not the
stalking
campaign.
Batman.
Stalking him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah, he's
he
pretty much
makes
stalking him.
he translates a prophecy to Batman that just says some la di da di da about him closing the gates of hell,
Yes.
and that's kind of a link to Arkham Knight. But again, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we will. There's also Zaz, like Victor Zaz, and
Yeah.
a few others.
Yeah, Victor Zaz, Acts of Violence, Mind Disruptor, which are kind of pointless in the main campaign, but they're a cool little side note to some of Batman's power.
We'll talk a little more in depth
Yeah.
about how we have gripes with the side missions though in gameplay. But yeah.
Then there's Bane. You have to try and
Right.
hunt down some. Some
Titan
Titan
containers.
containers from
Yeah.
Batman
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum that managed to
Yeah.
get into Arkham City.
Apparently, they were brought on Arkham City by Penguin. Like, Penguin smuggled those containers. I think so. Like, isn't that the case?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Penguin was the one who
yeah.
smuggled it.
So. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, was it just the Penguin or it was Scarecrow, Croc got a few, right?
Yeah. Croc got some. Yeah. Scarecrow as well. Obviously, Bane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, from the endings in Batman
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum. Yeah. Bit of Riddler. There was a
God.
small mention
Yeah.
from Alfred that he was trying to get revenge on Batman from Arkham Asylum for
Following
making the police track
yeah.
his location. That's why it was in Arkham City because he got caught
Mm-hmm.
from that.
Yeah.
There's a bit of Wonder City Tower lore. But yeah, apart from that,
There's not much else, right?
no, I think this chapter in Arkham was really just trying to emphasize Joker and Batman's relationship with one another.
Yeah, it was a very important part of the whole plot. And also just seeing how Batman deals with his secret admirers like Ra's al Ghul, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, good script in my opinion. Not much that I would have changed in it, to be honest. Because it was a very satisfying sort of story to be a part of, as Batman. And yeah, I guess we could move on straight to scoring it, right, boys?
Yeah, I'm happy to. What
Yeah.
about you, Ashman?
All right. So small sort of side note, I guess, for the viewers. Since there's three of us, and since I guess we can do some math, thanks to Danny being a math major, what we're gonna
Yeah.
do is all three of us are gonna score it, and we're gonna get the average of what we score.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess with that out of the way, let's get on to scoring it. So I guess in terms of plot and script, I'm gonna go with um an 8.5.
8.5. What are your faults?
Let me think. Well, in some ways, I did find it a little slow moving every now and then with some of the side missions, I guess.
Okay.
And the fact that the side missions could have connected a little better with the main story.
Okay.
Obviously, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, but I feel like it could have done slightly better with some dialogue as well, in terms of scripting. For example, Rash's dialogue. We'll talk about that more in in voice acting as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of script, right? I feel like some characters didn't have the best script to deal with.
Okay.
But that's just me nitpicking, I guess. But yeah, I'm still gonna go ahead with an 8.5.
Okay. What about you, Ashman?
I would give it a 9.
A
A
9.
nine?
Like
And
a
what
9
are your
for me.
faults? And what are your faults?
Um, honestly, like the only main fault I can actually find from City's story is that it's similar to what you have, like it's similar to the problem you have, but to a lesser extent, and that's how the side missions aren't actually connected
Yeah.
to the main story that much. I get that they were added just to have more, content for the players to enjoy. Like from a gameplay perspective, it made sense to add more side missions, but I just wish that it all culminated together into this main story more, so that you felt like it was worth it trying to do all these side quests, because you would
Yeah.
know that
Mhm.
they all connected to the final story. It all paid off. Aside from that, I have no problem whatsoever with the pacing or the dialogue or anything. Like,
All right.
I think they're all fine and they stay true to the character, so that's why I give it a 9.
And
I love Arkham Asylum very much, but I must say Arkham City really pulls through on the plot. I know there are some faults with some of the side missions and stuff, but I can't emphasize the amount that of Batman and Joker's
dialogue. True.
aloneness.
True. It was very satisfying.
Yeah.
And so I have to penalize the script in a way for its side mission in a sense, so I'm going to give it a 9.5.
A 9.5.
Very good.
9.5.
So-
Right? That's 27.
And then divide that by 3,
It's
which
a 9.
you should know, which is 9.
Again,
Yeah.
bad at math, all right? Let me be. But yeah, there you have it. 9 out of 10 decks. I need to stop laughing.
Yeah, you need to make an effort for that one.
Come on, man, you gotta get used to it.
It's hard.
You sound like a 13-year-old.
You gotta get used to it. Like, come on, it's in our title.
Yeah,
It's in the title, man.
It's our thing now. I should own it. But yeah, 9 out of 10 decks for the plot and script of Arkham City. And yeah, I guess we'll move on to what are we moving on to?
Gameplay.
Gameplay. Oh,
Yeah,
I had a lot
gameplay.
to say. But yeah, next up, gameplay.
Hey, we're back with some gameplay stuff. Cool.
We are. Yeah.
I'm not gonna make the same joke as last time because we're going into gameplay stuff because it's a game. Funny joke. So
Funny indeed.
as
10 out of 10
As
joke.
We are the joke. We are the joke. Boy.
we are the joke. So as with every Arkham game, there seem to be like some general categories for gameplay. There's combat, predator, detective, gadget use, boss battles, and free roam. However, this game brings in something a little new, brings in some side missions and some Catwoman stuff.
And the Riddler rooms.
And the Riddler rooms.
Side missions.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of.
And the Riddler
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you guys think of combat in this game?
So good. So
Definitely.
good.
Smooth as butter. Like, it's honestly smooth as butter. Like, moving on from one thug to another, it's ridiculously smooth. Like, that's such an improvement over Asylum, where sometimes you would judder a bit, but this time it's so smooth. It's brilliant to play as Batman in this game because of the combat.
One could argue, though, that, you know, with some of the like extra features, like for example the blade dodge takedowns and whatnot that you have, and the different takedowns that you have, one could argue that Arkham City is a little bit more crutched than Asylum is.
Absolutely. I mean, you're,
Right?
again, as we mentioned
Yeah, you
last
could
time,
say
they're very
that.
bare bones.
Yeah. But see, the reason why whilst I will always say that Arkham Asylum is the best judge of how good you are at the Arkham games, the reason why I'm not gonna hate on Asylum, hate on City for, you know, the crutches, is because they were very satisfying.
They were satisfying, of course they were. You
They
got
were.
you got the Bat Swarm, you got the multi-ground takedown, and you got the
Yeah.
Disarm Destroy. Man, Disarm Destroy would have been huge help
Oh god.
most of the time in Asylum, right?
Yeah, and the added enemies in City as well. They're kind of cool.
Yeah,
Right, you
true. I
know,
mean,
with the
that does kind of balance out the crutch a bit, doesn't it?
True, it does. Like with
It
the
does.
shielded enemies, and
Yeah.
we already had stun sticks in Asylum though.
We have the League of Assassins.
Yeah, and
Like, yeah.
and yeah, the ninjas, yeah, and not just
Yeah,
that, even
the ninjas.
the armored thugs and whatnot, you know, and the different things that you could do.
Lieutenants.
The lieutenants.
Yeah, lieutenants. The Abramovici twins.
Oh yeah. The twins, the big ugly one-handed blade
Yeah.
guys. Yeah. But yeah, it was very satisfying combat in Arkham City, and the best part is, unlike some games, Night, we actually got to utilize that combat system in the boss battles, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. Because what's the point of
They
having
didn't go to waste.
yeah, exactly. What's the point of
You
having a
got
good
those
combat
gadgets
system without
and-
using it, right?
Yeah. It's not like you were overpowered like
Yeah.
you were when you were fighting the normal thugs, but the game balances itself out with really tough enemies to fight as you
Yeah.
progress through the game. You have these awesome boss battles, and aside from that, you have these newer, improved enemy types to fight. So it's like if you didn't have these gadgets, you would not have been able to fight them. So it balances
Yeah,
out.
slightly balanced out. Yeah, very true.
City also introduces the whole free flow thing as well.
It does with the free flow gadget bonuses as well, right? Like, for example, when you're in free flow, which is like what, 15 plus hits or something,
12.
12 plus hits, sorry. Like if you use the wreck at that point, you know, the remote electric charge, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, if you use the wreck at that point, you know, you get like a chain lightning sort of effect. If you use explosive gel, you down a lot of people.
A huge explosion.
Or the bat
Definitely
claw.
doesn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't kill anyone.
Um,
Fortunately.
Or the bat claw.
Yeah.
Or the bat claw, you know, the bat claw slam is slightly more effective. It's an insta down, right?
Yeah.
And the combo bat ranks are also more damage, right?
More damage, and you send out 3 at once as well.
Yeah, 3 at once. Yeah.
Speaking of the
I think
Batclaw, though,
that's
do you
all
guys
the-
miss having the Ultra Batclaw? Like from Asylum,
Yes,
do you guys
I do.
miss having that?
I do. Thank you for bringing that up, Ajay. I
Yeah,
really
that,
do.
it was an
miss the Ultra Batclaw.
it was an interesting departure. Like you had that in Asylum, but all of a sudden Batman doesn't have it anymore because he apparently didn't need it.
I think it was more of a it's too heavy sort of a thing, because you remember that bit of dialogue where Alfred's like, why don't you just have a bigger utility belt? And, you know, he's like, I did.
It'll
It
slow him
slowed me
down.
Yeah. So it's a good justification, I feel, but I still do miss the Ultra Batclaw. I understand that it was necessary for the newer gameplay mechanics,
Yeah,
like
it was
having to glide through the windows.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that. I see what Danny means whenever he says that, but I miss the Ultra Batclaw, man. It was nice. It was cool.
We all miss it, honestly. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else in Predator that's new? I mean, combat that's new to Arkham City as opposed to Arkham Asylum?
The gadgets
Gadgets, yeah, true.
already mentioned before, the wreck.
The rig is new. The
freeze grenades.
freeze grenades.
There's the
Explosive gel
electroshock.
quick firing.
Explosive gel quick firing is new.
Because you couldn't quick fire
Yeah.
explosive gel in Asylum, right? And use explosive gel in the middle of a combat. In the middle of a combat map, sorry.
I mean, you could in Asylum, but you had to make sure that no one was around you,
True.
which was a bit of a hassle.
There was also
but
the disruptor, I think.
Disruptor's new.
Yeah, but you don't use it in
You
combat.
don't really use it in combat unless you use Smoke Cloud and
Nah.
then
Yeah.
Yeah, you only
Even then,
use
kinda
it in
pointless.
Predator, so yeah.
yeah. But yeah, apart from that, there's nothing really. Ultra stunning
Oh yeah. Because you can do ultra stuns or beatdowns.
Yeah.
or beatdowns. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, beatdowns were new.
Aerial
beatdowns.
attacks.
It's one of the
new,
things I
obviously.
appreciate.
Yeah, and aerial attacks. That was another one. So yeah, loads
What
of
about those what about those multi dodges from the Blade guys?
blade dodge takedowns.
Blade dodge takedowns,
Blade dodge
yeah.
takedowns. Because in Asylum, when you had a guy
Yeah.
with a blade, you couldn't dodge it. You had to evade. But in City, you can do blade dodges and eventually blade dodge takedowns if you time it right. But yeah, I guess what we're trying to say is lots of new gameplay elements, and
Very cool.
yeah, it was very satisfying. You know,
Yeah.
it was very satisfying. It was a good build up from Arkham Asylum because obviously it's a newer Batman, right?
Just being able to manage all this at once is very satisfying.
It's to the point where it's almost overwhelming, but it's easy enough to grasp, right? Eventually, and when you do grasp it, boy oh boy, does it make combat satisfying.
Oh, when people throw things at you now, you can counter it.
Oh yeah, you can counter throws as well, but you can't throw people.
You can't throw people.
Yeah.
Not until Arkham Knight again.
Yeah, wait, you can throw people in Arkham Knight.
Throw counters.
Oh yeah. I
Wait,
forgot.
you couldn't throw people in City? I kind
Nah.
of forgot that.
No, you
Oh,
can't.
they removed it, did they?
I mean,
Yeah.
there are like some counters where you can like kind of just yeet someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of
But you
rare to
cannot
get.
throw them directly anymore like you
Yeah,
could in Asylum.
It's
Yeah.
not directional.
Yeah. Imagine throwing someone off from a roof, like you're fighting on the roof,
Oh
and then
no,
Batman
you
just
could
like
do that
yeet-
in Asylum. Batman
Yeah.
used to yeet
Yeah,
people
but-
off the edges.
But think about it. It was an indoors thing, and you could assume that the platform wasn't too high and that they would just
just
get
a
knocked
10-foot
down.
drop. You know, it won't kill you if you landed on your head.
I mean, if you think about it like that, then yeah. But we could assume that the environment was friendly. But imagine doing that in City. Like you're on top of a building
True,
and you're fighting
true.
thugs. And imagine if you could throw them down. Like, oh, Batman's like, he's fine. I'm pretty sure he's only
It's just
unconscious.
a 10-story drop. The guy's fine, you know. Oh, God.
Yeah, so I think that's the reason why they removed it. Like, it became too
Probably.
OP.
And it was a little OP, I guess.
Yeah, Titans
Yeah.
were reintroduced.
That is something that I need to take a dump on. They reintroduced Titans in some of the challenge maps and in the Penguin sequence as well, right? And in the final Joker sequence as well. And except the only exception, well, with how the Titans worked in Arkham City was you couldn't down the Titans in the old way, right? Like in Asylum, sorry. You couldn't batarang them as they were charging you. You had to do an ultra stun and then perform
Yeah.
a beatdown. And that is something that I do not like personally. I prefer the
Me
old
neither.
method of, batarang. Thanks, Aldrin. God, I don't know if it's a popular opinion or not. But I personally do not like having to do an ultra stun and then perform a beatdown because I think the batarangs are a little nicer, you know?
Yeah, it was more.
I think so
fun,
too.
I think.
Yeah, like the ultra stuns were there, I think, only because Rocksteady felt like the batterings became too easy. They were like, you know what, we gotta make this harder so that people have a tougher time in these challenges, like in the challenge maps. So maybe that's
I mean,
probably
it
the reason why.
It wasn't really tougher, in my opinion, just a little more time consuming, if you
They're
ask me.
annoying.
Yeah.
Well,
Because with the
I think in
batarang
Rocksteady-
thing, with the batarang thing,
Yeah.
Ajmer, you still had to look around, right? Especially if you were in a map with a whole bunch of other people. Whilst you're fighting, you had to look. Oh, like,
Well,
You
yeah.
yeah.
You have a lot less time to react in City.
Yeah.
Because there's no slowdown.
Yeah.
well, I think in Rocksteady's book, being more time consuming adds to the toughness of the challenge. Maybe that's how they were thinking when
Maybe.
They made it?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But it didn't come
I don't
out.
know.
It didn't
Maybe.
come out that way.
I mean,
to me at
yeah.
least. Yeah.
well, they must have thought of something when they changed it. Like they didn't just change it just for the sake of changing it. So I'm just trying to justify their decision. That's it, basically.
I see what you're like. I see where you're coming from, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I didn't like how the Titans were in City, and I think we're all on that same.
Yeah,
boat.
I agree. Yeah.
But I guess it made up for that with having satisfying boss battles. God.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it did.
Very, very satisfying boss battles. The lieutenants were an interesting addition.
With the Abramovici twins.
The Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
The Abracadabra twins.
Abracadabra.
The
Yeah, that's what they
Abracadabra
call
brothers.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
Yeah.
magicians, man. Great magicians.
Great magicians.
Sure, they have a giant wand instead of.
I'm sure they do.
Oh god.
Yeah, I bet they do. I bet they do. But yeah, they were interesting because first time I played, I was like, I don't know how to beat this guy. I had to get my cousin who had played the game before to come and help me do
you're
it.
sad, bro.
Yeah, I know.
You're
I was too
sad.
scared of him. Like I had figured out that I had to shoot the REC at him to make him spin. But apart from that, I was running around the steel mill that kind of area, and I was thinking, oh my god, how do I do this? But it's a lot easier than it looks. You just go up to him and punch him.
Yeah, just start punching the guy and evade over their heads. Actually, wait, before we talk more about combat, I think we need to give the Predator encounters some justice, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Predator encounters in City were, well, I think a bit more of a, they built up from Asylum a lot better. Obviously, crutched, right? Because you had a lot more things you could do, like with the Disruptor, for example.
Yeah, no, that's a huge crutch. Just disable someone.
Yeah. But I think where City did it right is in giving us the ability to do so many things in a Predator encounter.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, and they really made you do those things in the challenge maps.
Yeah, absolutely. Niggas has been trying so hard to beat some of those extreme Predators.
Hey, I did. I 3-starred all the Predator maps.
With a bit of help.
You did not touch my keyboard or mouse.
Oh, you know, some moral support.
Moral support? You're the most gloomy person I've met.
But yeah, so Predator, there's like night vision goggles now. There's snipe. There were snipers in Asylum, but I don't think their guns were very detailed.
Yeah. But the night vision goggles are a good thing.
Yeah.
And you also have armored thugs that you can't do silent takedowns on.
Yeah, which was a very interesting new dynamic. I remember the first time there was a new animation where you try and silent take down, and then they just kind of shrugged you off. I was like, oh, what the hell?
And Knockout Smash is addition of Knockout Smash.
Now Knockout Smashes are great.
Yeah, and it's a balanced sort of dynamic, which is why I won't call it a crutch ever.
Yeah,
because as soon as you do it, they get alerted to your position.
Yeah, because I mean, in Asylum, you could be silent takedowning someone. There's like 10 thugs around you, all shooting you. You're like, hang on, guys. One second. He's about to go to bed. Just. But yeah, so that was a good addition.
Rock my baby.
When the wind blows.
Imagine singing that in like Christian Bale's Batman voice.
Yeah.
I
can't do it, man.
I would give you a prize if you could sing that in Bale's voice. Like, it's not
I can't do that. I can't do the Christian Bale.
That's why I said I would give you a prize, because it's not something a normal person can do, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good amount of variation for the Predator maps, I feel. And with the challenge maps, the challenge Predator maps, it was challenging. It was nice, and the things that they ask you to do, like with the line launcher, for example, Jesus. What was one of the ones in one of the extreme maps? Line launcher kick 2 guys in 2 separate line launcher movements, right? It's like ching kick and then re-aim the line launch and ching kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was. Also, there's other cool new elements, like you can do takedowns through walls and windows.
Yeah, and the ledge takedowns, the reverse ledge takedowns, right?
We have our own name for that.
Yeah, it's not
worth mentioning on the podcast.
But yeah, I think we all can agree on the fact that the Predator maps were a good build up from Asylum. Very satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also the double takedown.
And double takedowns. Yes.
And they made sure to make the incorporation of your gadgets with these new features quite interesting as well, like the REC on armored thugs.
Yeah, that was fun.
Did they send some flying, which is pretty neato burrito. Yeah. Have anything else to add, Ajme, in terms of Predator and Arkham City?
Well, I appreciate that. Well, as much as I hated doing some of the extra challenges for the Predator maps, like they were a bit too complicated, even for seasoned players like me. Like I have played Asylum a lot, and you, Danny, as well. As much as I hated those parts, I kind of felt like they were necessary to an extent because it was a sequel. You had to revamp some of the things. You had to improve upon the first game in as many ways as you possibly could. And Rocksteady just, maybe they thought that making it harder was, as long as it was doable, as long as someone can do it, it's a possible challenge. So it's hard, yeah, but you're gonna have fun doing it, and you're gonna keep on trying and trying.
True. It never gets.
I appreciate that.
It gets very, very frustrating, but I guess not tiresome, right?
It's very good for helping you understand what you can actually do in a Predator encounter.
Yep.
Because I know you learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, from the challenge maps alone.
Yeah. And like, I'm just gonna throw it in. Like, we're gonna be talking about this in the designs part, but the challenge maps were like very uniquely designed, like each of them. So you had to adjust to each of these maps in different ways because many of them were radically different from each other. So I appreciate that.
Like the platforming in a lot of those maps are very, very different.
Absolutely, they all had their own features and were able to incorporate.
So I appreciate Rocksteady for implementing those features into these challenge maps.
So very well.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely, no question about that.
A few more like nitty gritties I guess we should touch before we talk about boss battles specifically. I guess are the detective vision thingies.
Detective vision, yeah.
The analysis, I mean.
I always
crime
never
scene
had
analysis.
these.
Yeah, same. It gets tiresome. It unfortunately gets tiresome.
I honestly, like, when I first heard about this at Night, like when Night was coming out, people were excited when they saw the gameplay segments and they heard that the detective thing was gonna get improved in Night, and they were all excited. They were like, "Oh my god, one of my favorite features is coming back!" And I kind of took their word as being, as like super honest. I'm like, maybe they enjoyed it. I'm gonna like it too. And when I played it, I liked it, but I couldn't see what was so great about it.
In Night or in City?
It was there. Like in City.
In City, yeah.
Like, yeah, in City and in like, I wanted to say City when I was talking about Night, but regardless, I heard a lot of good things about the Detective Vision as a whole. Like, not just about the other games, but in City as well.
It's interesting, I guess. The things that you can do with like the crime scene analysis, but it was very... It wasn't that complex, It wasn't that interesting.
I would love a lot more player interaction.
Yeah.
With the detective work.
Yeah.
I think the best implementation of the detective vision crime scene analysis thingamajig was in Night, with how cool it was to reconstruct the scenes.
Yeah.
It was actually a challenge, and you felt like a detective in that game. But in this one,
in City, it was a little lacking.
Tried to do that. It tried to make Batman lean into his detective side, but it kind of fell flat on his face, like...
Yeah, because it was almost exactly the same like Asylum.
Yeah.
It was just one thing you could scan, one or two things you could scan in each crime scene, and that was it. One thing that we're forgetting here, boys, is that this is still an old game.
It is an old game. Yeah.
But again, you call a potato, you call a gimmick a gimmick.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And I guess we just need to be as honest as we can in true top deck fashion.
Indeed.
So that's pretty much all for Detective, right?
Yeah. I can't wait. with Detective being, out of the way, we should talk about Catwoman as well, because that's one gameplay dynamic that's very important.
Yeah, true.
There's also Robin and Nightwing, which we'll get to later. But
In the challenge
first,
maps, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Catwoman.
Catwoman,
Jeez.
yeah.
We started with Catwoman in the very beginning, right? That's how in the Game of the Year editions, that's how you start the game. You start the game with a Catwoman combat sequence. And straight off the bat, everyone's like, "Yay, we get a new character!" And I think I should say that it is good on Rocksteady's part to have a different character, especially in a game this long.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, as much as you want to be a Daniel and love that bad, you do get tired of seeing the same dynamic throughout your gameplay routine, right? For this game, and it's nice to have another character to play as in the main campaign. So yeah, the Catwoman bits were nice. Catwoman combat is not too bad. It's all right.
Not too bad.
It's okay. I think I personally find the Catwoman combat better than the Catwoman Predator encounters.
Oh my god, yeah, because you've only got 3 gadgets.
Yeah.
As Catwoman, which is your whip, your caltrops,
and your bolas.
Yeah. Now in
I
combat,
think I've only used the whips more.
Yeah.
I've only used the whips.
In combat,
I've never used anything else because they're useless.
Yeah, in combat, only your whip is useful because your bolas, which are the equivalent of batarangs, aren't actually aren't actually bound to a quick fire.
Yeah, you can't quick fire them, right?
You can't bind it to a quick fire. And who wants to press 3 twice? And so your whip is the only thing you have, but that not only takes up time, but you also have the ground takedown immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Unless you just want to leave this guy on the ground.
Yeah.
But I don't really see the point of that. I mean, you have all of Batman's features, like the aerial attack, the beat down, the ultra stun,
blade dodge takedowns,
blade dodge takedowns, all that stuff.
But then again, why would you need an ultra stun when your whip insta downs? Well, not insta downs, but pulls someone to the ground.
Exactly. I think you can find Titans as Catwoman then.
Well,
can't you?
By the way, I just want to know, does Catwoman's ground takedown take more time than Batman's?
I think it's the same, isn't it?
Catwoman's beatdowns are longer than Batman's because her hits are weaker, but Catwoman is faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes the same amount of time, but just at a quicker rate.
Well, in normal combat, in the normal combat flow, it is faster because she's lighter and more agile. But I'm talking about the ground takedown specifically. Like, does it actually take longer, or does?
No, I don't think so, man. At least not in our experience.
Not to my knowledge either. No, I don't think so.
And even if it is, it's not distinguishable enough, I guess.
No.
Maybe it's just the animation. I think I found the animation to look like it. It felt like it took longer when you look at it that way. So maybe it's just
possibly.
Yeah. And in Predator, while I was saying that you don't really use your gadgets very much in combat, I don't like using Catwoman's gadgets in Predator.
Obviously, because they're bloody useless. That's why.
They're useless. Like, are you gonna whip someone from a vantage point? Like,
and even the caltrops, right? Like, maybe they trip people up, but as soon as you pop them, everyone hears it.
Yeah, exactly. And just
it's a dead giveaway. Like,
her mobility,
locate you.
Her mobility around the map is awful as well.
Yeah, because you can't glide. I mean, again, some may argue that it's just added challenge or whatever, but I'm gonna call it what it is. It's just plain painful to play.
I mean, unless you can cling to ceilings and stuff and do some takedowns.
Yeah, but what's the point when this is me being a bit of a meanie at the game, but that last bit when you're done with the main campaign and you play against Two-Face. Right?
Yeah.
As Catwoman, when you have to retrieve her loot from Two-Face, that game, that Predator map is so broken. The AI is broken. Two-Face's mechanics are broken. Everything is just bloody broken.
Yeah.
Because the thugs just randomly fucking magnetize onto you, right? You could have been just evading from a thug and going up on a gargoyle or whatever, and 10 minutes later you could be climbing a roof and they'll just suddenly go, she's on the roof, and it's not like you have a dead body around you or somewhere, but they just automatically just magnetize onto you.
Yeah.
And
that's Catwoman, you're a lot more volatile than Batman is.
Well, vulnerable.
vulnerable.
Yeah, because
You don't have as much armor.
and you don't have as much, gadgets that you can use to escape. You don't have smoke pellets. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have batarangs to knock a fire extinguisher into a smoke.
Yeah.
When you have bowlers, but then you have to go press 3, aim, fire extinguisher.
Yeah, like you could do that. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that last predator map as Catwoman in the campaign, that really made me like hate the game a little bit because it was so bad, so badly done.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It even infuriated
Yeah,
me, and I've been
there's,
playing this game for 10 years.
There's not much I can say in favor of Catwoman's Predator maps because there aren't any good things. Like, there aren't much good things to say about it.
Yeah,
There aren't
not
many
really.
good
Yeah,
points to make in favor of it. So yeah, it's definitely one of the low points of the Predator side of things. But
yeah, and
it is what it
it's
is
a
at
bit
the
of
end the
it leaves a bit of a bad taste for the game in total, in my opinion. But I guess we shouldn't ignore the good, right?
Yeah.
And with that, I guess we should talk about the boss battles because, geez.
Yeah, before you say that, though, what do you think of the smoke pellet? Because you mentioned that earlier with Calvin, that you
Yeah.
have one.
Yeah.
What do you think of the introduction of the smoke pellet?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. Damn. I think it's very necessary given like the added tugs.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a good addition because unlike in Night where it regenerates much faster, you only have one per predator encounter.
Yeah. I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's not crutched.
Yeah. I mean, Asylum didn't have one. And by City introducing that, it is a little bit of a crutch, whether you want to admit it or not.
True. But it is. I mean, Arjun, what do you think? Would you say that the smoke pellet in City is a crutch in itself, or do you think it's a necessary sort of element?
Does Catwoman have the smoke pellets as well? Like, or is it exclusive to Batman though?
Just Batman.
No, just
Robin.
Batman. Just
And
Batman.
Robin and Nightwing.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, if you're playing as Batman and Robin, then I think it is a bit of a crutch. Like, you already have all these gadgets at your disposal. Like, if you improvised yourself a bit, you could have just used everything else instead of the smoke pellets. But I think the smoke pellets are just there to
Because smoke pellets are generally there for, oops, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like to think of it as a gadget for newcomers. Honestly, like, yo, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Oopsie, I'm just gonna drop it in and get onto the next vantage point just to be safe.
That is a fair way to think about it.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with either one of you. But I will say that having the smoke pellet to a certain extent allows you to do some cooler things and have some insurance.
Also helps utilize getting rid of like a jammer pack.
Yeah.
Which Asylum didn't have. Which is
Yeah, because jammer packs are a thing that, get very annoying with getting your detective vision deactivated, yeah. But yeah, I can't disagree with you on the fact that smoke pellets are a bit of a crutch, but I will say that when used right, they can lead to a bit more of a satisfying gameplay experience.
Yeah.
Especially when you use them at the point where everyone's terrified. It's like, oh my god, smoke.
Yeah, like the random.
Yeah.
Like when they get scared and stuff, it's quite satisfying as well. Makes you feel like a certain superhero.
Makes you feel like Batman.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, the cryptographic sequences are also going to change. It's no longer frequency based; it's password based.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I prefer silent.
Yeah, I prefer the
Silence,
frequency as
yeah.
well. What about you, Ajman? Do you prefer the frequency or the password?
I specifically like those section Asylum when you had the Joker, extra Joker sets of traps. Like, you had time running out and you had to figure out the frequency. Like,
Yeah.
I love that part, and because of that, I'm kind of leaning towards the frequency one a bit more. It was
I guess we're all
even
on the
though
same page.
aesthetically, I like the passwords because they sometimes gave us cool code names.
Yeah. True.
Sometimes.
True.
So
True.
I think it's a win-win for both. I don't have a favorite. I'm just gonna say I like both because they each have their
enough.
perks.
Fair enough. Is there anything else that was new to City in terms of gadgets? Well, the remote control battering.
No, we had it in the Asylum.
Yeah, but there's new controls.
Yeah,
there's
the
new
boosting.
features.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
boosting.
and
as well.
it's
Yeah.
not WASD controlled anymore.
Thank God.
Thank God for that. And
The reverse battering as well.
reverse battering. You can like yeet people off railings now.
And
with
there's no
those.
cooldown for remote
There's
control.
no cooldown for your remote battering anymore, which is pretty good as well. Yeah.
Well, not pretty good. Sometimes a little OP, I think. Because remember that challenge map? I was just eating people off the rail.
Yeah, but again, it requires some lining
Skill.
up.
Yeah, it it requires some skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun gadget to use.
Yeah.
With the improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, boss battles, which is what I interrupted you with.
Oh, finally.
Let's just start from the beginning of the game to the end of the game because I feel like chronologically that might be easier to structure.
Well, before we move on to the boss battles, still, what do you think about Robin and Nightwing? Because they are also playable
We should
characters.
talk about that before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Robin, his moveset got copy pasted over an Origins to Deathstroke, which is the only
I
thing
still
that
can't believe that. Imagine in the comics, imagine if Deathstroke fought like Robin. Like Batman's like, why are you fighting like my sidekick? Is something wrong? Like you don't usually do this.
Yeah.
And Deathstroke's like, what do you mean? This is how I fight. And
We'll take our dump on Origins when we get there.
Yeah.
we will.
It was nice to play as Robin. It was again good change. I feel.
Yeah. I honestly love it. Like as a massive Batman fan myself, I was full of joy seeing Robin come like in this game and being able to play as him, having his own gadgets, and moreover, like it's from my perspective, but Tim Drake is my favorite Robin of all time. Like he's the third Robin in the Arkham games as well as in the comics. So I love that we got to play as him.
Yeah.
And
It was.
I think that his gameplay was. I think that his gameplay was unique in the sense that he had his own set of unique gadgets, like his shield.
Yeah.
He had a shield to use, and then he didn't have a batarang, but he had a birdarang, but it kind of had similar functions, but
I think
it
it
made
was a
sense.
shuriken.
A shuriken. It was called a shuriken.
Oh yeah, it was a. Oh yeah, not a birdarang. My God, wow! I just named something completely irrelevant.
Let's call
but
it a birdarang.
yeah.
No, I
Birdarang.
think
Birdarang.
yeah, well, for the sake of this video, we're gonna just call it a shuriken, and yeah, it makes sense for him to have different things because like different projectiles because
Yeah, and it makes sense for
Robin
him to have
is different.
less stuff as well, right? Because he's supposed to travel
Yeah.
a little lighter.
also Batman usually doesn't trust his allies with too many gadgets, like even in the Arkham games.
Yeah,
and
sure.
so that's also a way to
Yeah.
think about it like that. Like he doesn't have a lot of things.
But I personally feel like that's because Robin travels a lot lighter because Robin's suit is
True.
bright red and he's meant to distract
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah,
Send out
it's
the
like
child.
Batman's
Send out the
body
child to
shield.
get shot.
Yeah, it's his body shield. Come on, Robin is a shield. Like he's got to use something.
I still find that so ironic, like going a little off topic here, but for real, like, why would you have your young, just out of being a teenager sidekick dressed in bright fucking red, right? Like, why? He's gonna get shot. Why would you do that?
I just saved from the circus.
I
dressed in
mean,
bright
you
red,
guys
don't get
mentioned it in
shot.
like, you guys mentioned it in the Asylum video. Batman's like somewhat crazy. Like he's insane.
Yeah,
So
obviously. Like,
his
who
insanity
in
might
their
have been a
right mind-
factor into
Who in
that.
their right mind would dress a child up in bright red and put him into an active war zone, right? To a crime scene. Here's a
Well-
target. Shoot this guy while I try to,
shoot this guy.
teabag you and take you out. And if I fail, well, too bad, I guess. You can
Yeah, I
have
got
this.
3 more.
Too bad. I'm just gonna. Yeah, there's plenty more where that came from. Like, there's. I think the orphanage is offering more children. Let me just have a look.
Oh my.
Batman. Let me
But yeah,
learn. Well,
jokes aside.
regardless
jokes
of that,
aside,
yeah. Jokes aside, his gameplay was
Listen.
fun. Like
yeah. Good
I like
gameplay.
how he used his staff. His staff was a good inclusion.
It was
Um,
good. It was good.
Yeah, it's something that's sometimes in Batman lore and sometimes it isn't. But it was in the Arkham games, and I liked it because it differentiated his combat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And it allowed him
It
to have a
added a
different
bit.
moveset.
It had its own style to it, and I liked it.
Mm. It was
So
good.
it was fun,
really good.
and Robin's a very like likable character of mine. So I liked playing as him. It was a good thing to have him in the game.
And then there was Nightwing in the challenge maps as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nightwing was also pretty fun to play with.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know much because I don't play Nightwing a lot in the challenge maps. I'll leave that to you two. What do you?
Shame on you, man.
Nightwing.
Shame on you. Come on, you gotta play.
Nightwing
as
was
him more. Come on.
Nightwing was alright. He had these darts.
I
where
think
you
it was
could, like,
alright, too.
Insta down someone if you got a headshot. So
What really?
yeah.
You're not making that
No,
up?
I'm not. Like Ajman, you can verify this, right?
Yeah, what was that again? I missed it. Can you repeat that? Like, I'm not completely missed it.
Sorry, man. Yeah, for those who didn't see that, it was just a freeze frame.
A little context here: we're all talking on video call. Well, me and Danny are flatmates, but we're talking to Ajman on video call, and let's just say Messenger isn't the best video calling option, but we're
Yeah.
broke college students.
Kids
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
choose Discord.
So that was sort of a laugh break there.
Yeah, we should try
Yeah.
Discord next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway,
Yeah, Discord next time.
technicalities aside, that's for later. What did you think of the darts in Arkham City, Ajman, from Nightwing? You know his wrist darts?
Yeah. Well, in your opinion, do you think they were overpowered or something? Because I honestly, like, I don't know about you, but I felt like they were just there just for the sake of being there.
Are
I
y'all
guess.
playing with me?
No.
Is this an actual game
So
plan?
you've got 3 available. And if you-
Oh, there's a limit. Then that's all right.
yeah. So
There's also he also has his Erasmus sticks that turn to swords. Like, right, Danny? Like, they turn into swords, and you can literally impale people, but they heal instantaneously. Like, they just get knocked down.
You're
Yeah.
playing with me, aren't you?
then, but I remember,
Is this payback
the
for me
wrist
not
darts
playing
are real.
Nightwing in
the
challenge
the
maps?
wrist darts are real.
The wrist darts are real, really?
Yeah, no, you can play
Yeah,
this
they are real.
afterwards and check. Yeah, you've got 3 of them, but like when you aim, you've got like a really shaky thing going on, so being able to get the headshot is pretty difficult. But if you get them just on the body, then they just fall to the ground, and you can jump over them and knock them out, but that's up to you. Apart from that, you've got the Christmas sticks, which you can slam people with if you want. That you can like ricochet.
I kind of
So
I think Nightwing had more gadgets than Robin in total, right?
yeah, he did. I
Yeah.
also had the line launcher,
So-
which was interesting.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that Nightwing had more gadgets because it signifies that he is more like Batman because he's the older one. Like, he's the oldest one. and
Yeah.
usually he takes up the mantle of Batman, so like it makes sense that he has the second most number of gadgets compared to Batman. So
Still, it's kind
I
of
like that in
ironic.
City.
It's kind of ironic that the more experienced fighters have the more gadgets, right? You'd think that it's the other way around.
yeah,
It's
I
literally like
kinda
lining
see
up
what
all
you
the
mean.
Robins or cannon
Yeah.
fodder.
Yeah, just like if you weigh them down with like a load, they're going to be happy. They can't run as fast, and you can shoot them easy.
Oh God! Like, yeah,
Uh,
dump all, like, imagine Batman like dumping all his gadgets on Robin. Like, hey, you carry them for me.
You're my backpack.
Yeah, you're on a backpack,
You're
and
my
Robin's like struggling.
Animate for the most time, slightly also an animated backpack after you get shot, you know?
Like, imagine like Batman running around swiftly, like he's so light and fast, and Robin's like trying to catch up, like, like, slow down! I'm running out of breath. Like, there's so much load on me.
But anyways, enough fooling
Yeah.
around. Let's move on to probably the most enjoyable part about the gameplay, in Arkham City, and that's the boss battles.
Oh yeah.
Boss battles. All right, we've already talked about Mr. Hammer, which is
Mm.
arguably the first.
Yeah, I saw the first boss battle. Yeah.
First boss battle you get. After that, though, is Solomon Grundy.
Whew.
Um,
Whew.
Solomon Grundy is what makes things is very hard, but I find very easy. Joke's on you, big boy.
I'm a little stupid. All right?
You
I find
just gotta
Solomon
get
very
used to the algorithm. Honestly, like it has like repetition. It has
Yeah,
a
it does.
sense of
It
repetition
does.
in it.
Yeah,
I
I
hate
just-
that. Yeah, I hate those. What do you call those? Those ground thingies like that crawl to you.
silverfish. They're like
Silverfish.
silverfish
Yeah,
from
silverfish.
Minecraft.
I
Yeah.
hate those.
Yeah.
Whose idea was them to include them in the game? Like, I would like to speak with them, Rocksteady. Like, I really want to know whose idea it was. I hate that.
Dude, I got
Mojang's. That's who's.
it's Mojang's idea. Yeah, I got down by those silverfish buggers so many times when I was doing my hard.
Me too.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated it.
Yeah. The strategy I figured out is just brute force. You got to go with those weird,
Yeah, this will be
these swirly, electric things.
Whatever. We're
Oh,
good with
hey,
words.
we're on the same track with that. Good. Swirly electric things. Yeah. So you got to just explosive gel those,
Yeah.
brute force them. Don't worry about anything else. Just go for that. That's the only problem. Evade when you need to, but just go for that. I mean, the soundtrack in that was really cool.
Yeah, it was, and
Yeah,
the
it was.
cutscenes before that as well. You know, with Batman not even flinching as Solomon Grundy just like tries to punch him.
I mean, you have to be literally insane.
Yeah, just you see a big hulking monster just straight up about to punch you, and you don't flinch.
I don't care who you are. No one's that ballsy.
Exactly. God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Solomon Grundy, and then we had Raish, right?
Rachel Gould.
Oh man, Raish. Love that boss battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Raish was a satisfying boss battle as well. Little repetitive, but they did it right because if you stay focused enough in that boss battle, it's very satisfying to pull through.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good boss battle in my opinion.
Basically, you
It
just fight
was.
sand people,
Hmm.
and you
Yeah.
avoid like phantom blades
Yeah,
and stuff, and shurikens, and Rach's sword,
yeah,
and you try and REC, electrical charge, Rach's body in this weird sand dimension. If you're high, I'm really sorry. This is a mouthful.
No, imagine being high and playing that. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. Damn. But yeah, after the Rachel Gould boss fight, it's
Comes
probably
the best boss
best-
battle in all of Arkham history.
yeah. I was gonna say something else, but then we just get a lot of dislikes. But yeah, the best boss battle in Arkham history, the Mr. Freeze boss battle.
Now here's where we want to make things very clear. By no means are we saying that this is the hardest boss battle. I think we're all on that because it's not hard,
It's not hard.
but it is the most satisfying to pull off, especially in New Game Plus.
It's very challenging for a new player though.
It is. Because the only way you're getting hints is if you play an easy.
Yeah. Exactly. And you have no idea how to approach freeze otherwise.
Yeah.
Because you can't do the same tactic twice.
Yeah.
Which is very different to normal Predator.
Where you can just keep milking the same strat.
Yeah. So, and hard, you have to do, 12 things?
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like, very rarely can I think of 12 things to do in Predator.
Yeah, and you have to do each of them in a way where you can line up the next one, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't just do one out of random and just hope to do another one. You have to do each with a sort of purpose. Like, all right, I'm gonna do a window takedown here, and then I'm gonna lead him near the gen and do a gen magnetized takedown there, and then I'm gonna lead him to the water, to the electricity, to the grid. You just have to lead one up to the other and chain them in this beautiful sort of Batman-esque way, right? And that's the only way you get through that boss battle, and that's why it's not hard. It's just satisfying when you do it.
It's also badass.
Very badass. Very, very badass.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Ajman?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did enjoy that. To an extent, like, it was mostly cinematic.
True.
The cinematic aspect of it was amazing to me. Like, seeing all those dodges and everything. Like, it was exhilarating to watch, and
if you
it was
get,
fun to
like,
play
if you
as a-
get through it without taking a single hit, right? It's so satisfying because of how good it looks whenever
Yeah.
you do the takedowns.
yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot on that regard, mostly. I like the gameplay part as well, but I enjoyed the cinematic part of it more, which makes it a good boss fight in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
it looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. The music in there, obviously, as always, thank you, Nick Arundel,
Mm.
was beautiful.
Yeah,
Really sets the mood.
it was beautiful.
Get into that later. That's actually inspired me to rethink my choice for the soundtrack part of this. But anyway, after Mr. Freeze, again, we probably haven't given this enough credit for the amazing boss fight that it is. But after that is Joker's Carnival Room.
Yeah, yeah. And with that, we have another sort of mini boss battle with like a whole bunch of thugs, with a Titan, with another one of the Abramovici twins. And yeah, it's a big sort of slugfest of you just trying to stay alive and, dodge everyone. And it's also a good sort of, it's very challenge map-esque, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And it's nice. It's really nice. And right after that, you have Clayface. Oh wait, before that, no.
Yeah,
Before that,
no.
You have another Predator map in the Wonder Tower, but that's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a boss battle now.
Yeah, it's not a boss.
It's a different setting, very different setting, but
Not a boss battle.
Not a boss battle, really. No.
But yeah, and then Clayface, that's the final boss battle for the campaign, and that was also an interesting dynamic, but it wasn't as complicated. It's just freeze, grenade, and dodge. Freeze, grenade, and dodge.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of an unsatisfying boss battle to end the sort of, to end the game with, but it is what it is, and I'm not gonna show too much hate because it had Mr. Freeze.
There's an awful lot of spamming 5.
Jesus, tell me about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it for boss battles, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess the thing we haven't covered is free roaming.
But wait, free roaming is interesting and all, but what about the Riddler rooms, bro?
Riddler rooms, yeah, of course, yeah. So this was a very different take on Riddler in general, as opposed to Asylum. Obviously in Asylum you would just go around collecting trophies, full stop.
Yeah, that was it.
But in this, for every milestone that you get with Riddler, for example, if you collect, I don't know, like 60 trophies, maybe that's the threshold, maybe 80. I'm not sure.
You have to collect 440, right?
Yeah, collect 440, but for every Riddler room there's a certain.
Oh yeah. There's a total of 5 Riddler rooms, I think.
Yeah, then you have to collect 400 Batman trophies.
Yeah.
It's like 40 Catwoman ones. So that divided by 5 is 80.
Yeah.
For every 80 that you collect,
You get another Riddler room.
you get another Riddler room. And they're pretty cool.
It was an interesting dynamic because, it wasn't something you could brute force. You'd have to think your way through.
Yeah.
Or you could just be a cheater. Even the Riddler dialogue, are you cheating and looking things up on the internet?
Yeah. Pretty ironic because most of us probably were.
Yeah. But it was an interesting dynamic in those Riddler rooms. You have to use your brains to get through them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like having a Predator map or a combat map. It was very different. And I think that's good in a way because that was in itself a new gameplay dynamic.
Really encourage you to use all your gadgets, their full abilities, and
Just have a big brain moment.
big brain time. Yeah. Anything else to add on that?
I don't know. What about you, Ajman? With Riddler rooms and all?
Yeah, well, Riddler was he had quite the upgrade from Asylum when it comes to the scale of his riddles and
his operation.
His operations, and I mean we're all used to it by now, like seeing Riddler do all these crazy things in games, but I would assume that in 2011, like when it first came out, people were really intrigued by seeing such a massive change for Riddler, like when it comes to his
because
it comes to his evil machinations and his schemes and whatnot.
Yeah, the jump was much bigger, right, from Asylum to City in terms of Riddler.
And aside from the jump, the riddles made sense. Like it made sense that the Riddler could make all these things in Arkham City because, as we said in our gameplay segment of our video, of our live stream, that is, Arkham City is owned by and controlled by, like, not owned but controlled by the criminals that inhabit it. So it made sense that Riddler could make all these things. Like, he could probably bribe someone, like
and
some people.
I guess that
to
helped
make
with
them.
the gameplay immersion in total, right? Because you knew that this guy actually can do all of these things.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the first time we've ever seen Riddler's face.
Yeah,
All of
yeah,
the
it
Arkham
was
trilogy
the
so
first
far.
introduction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Riddler was a good gameplay dynamic,
Yeah.
I feel. Very well executed.
It was well executed, and on top of that, it was sensible, and it didn't break the logic of the game. Like, I know that these are video games, and logic doesn't always apply to these worlds, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, it didn't break the rules of that world.
Yeah.
Like, it made sense that Riddler could make them. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, good gameplay dynamic. But yeah, on that subject of side missions, here's some things that we hate. Zaz.
Zaz. Oh my god.
So annoying.
Him and his phone calls.
So annoying. Even and it's not just the fact that it's annoying, it's also buggy.
It's a little buggy. Yeah.
At least for me it has been. Because sometimes, I've had moments where also a bit of context here. Zaz's side mission is basically you having to answer phone calls that randomly start ringing in the city, and then start tracking down another ringing phone call before a timer runs out.
Yeah, which sounds very exhilarating.
Yeah, but it's not good. It's so unsatisfying because sometimes when you hear a phone ringing and you land right next to it, it stops ringing, and then you stay there long enough and it starts ringing again.
Yeah,
it's very broken. And
I did not appreciate that. Like, when I first played Arkham City on my PS4, I wasn't aware of Zaz's involvement. Like, I was like, oh, I did not know that Zaz was in this, and I answered the phone and for the first time, and I heard Zaz, and I'm like, oh shit, he's back. And I thought it was gonna be a one and done thing, like it was a cool Easter egg. But then it went on and on and on, and I honestly despise those telephone things.
Yeah, you and me both, buddy.
It's not enjoyable.
Yeah,
it really tested your gliding skills, though.
It did. That is.
And with Arkham,
that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, with Arkham City introducing like the dive bomb and stuff like that, I think the devs felt inclined to release some kind of side mission that tested
dive bomb and the grapple boost.
And the grapple boost. You're right. Yeah, Arkham Origins. But AR glide drills.
That was another interesting side mission. Yeah. Kind of satisfying to pull off.
Yeah. What did you finish the AR glide drills, Ajman?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. I did on my. I didn't do it on my PS4. I did it on my PC.
Yeah, I did.
Because I enjoyed I prefer a keyboard and mouse layout now, so I felt it was more comfortable that way.
Yeah.
I finished it on my PC.
Good man.
I mean, those are really hard for new players.
Yeah, I can attest that. I can second.
If I hadn't played it on my PS4 first, I think I would have struggled a bit as well. But I knew the ropes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, the dive bomb mechanics are quite tricky to master because when you pull up, you pull up.
Yeah. So you need to learn how to. There are a few tricks and quirks to the mechanics that you need to learn. But when you do, it's very satisfying, and those AR drills really helped in, showing you how to glide better and how to find some satisfaction.
And once you do that, you can navigate the map so much easier.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, side missions. Some are ridiculous. Which ones?
More than ridiculous, I think some were just plain boring.
Boring. Yeah, I mean, Zaz, as we mentioned.
And even Deadshot to a certain extent.
Deadshot was boring. That was
Deadshot was I had such high hopes.
Same,
while playing the Deadshot mission. I liked how it was set up. Like, someone shot this guy and you had to find the bodies, and I know that you had the same crime scene analysis thing, but I liked the premise. I liked how someone was shooting these guys and Batman finds out it was Deadshot, and
yeah, because you'd expect a nice big ending to it, right?
Yeah, and Deadshot's no ordinary assassin. He's one of the best assassins ever in the DC
Yeah,
universe.
the
So
world's
you would
best
expect
Isn't
him
he
to get
considered the world's greatest assassin?
not. It's a title he called himself. Like he
Oh.
calls himself that, but
Yeah.
it's not like someone else calls him that.
I mean, it's either
That would probably-
him or Deathstroke, right? So
It is Deathstroke in like DC comics, not in the movies or anything, but in the comics, it's Deathstroke who carries the title from other people. But yeah, I was expecting more from the Deadshot thing. Like I did not expect it to just be, what do you call it? An encounter. Like it was just like it was an encounter under the grate. Under the
yeah,
grates
because
and-
you just make sure you creep under that grate when he's not looking, and then just boom.
Boom, done.
Great takedown. That was it. That was so unsatisfying, because Deadshot really is a character that they could have used a little better. I feel at least. But yeah, that was the Deadshot side mission. What else?
Yeah.
What else can we talk
An
about?
interesting addition to City was that there are thugs available post game.
True. But before we get to the post game scenario, we forgot Bane's side mission.
Bane, yeah, true.
yeah.
So
Another
Well,
disappointing
yeah.
one, might I add. Because you find all those Titan containers and you blow them up, and then you go back to Bane, and Bane's all like, "Yeah, I kept all the Titan for myself." Yeah. And you'd expect that you'll have to beat Bane up after that, right? But
that's a very Arkham Knight Deathstroke thing.
it's such an Arkham Knight Deathstroke thing. It's such an Arkham Knight Hush thing as well.
Yeah, I know. Bit of a cop out.
Yeah, because what happens is instead of fighting Bane, you dodge Bane as he charges into a little cell, and then you toss a batarang and close that cell with a flimsy metal gate that Bane can't apparently break. It's some strong ass gate, man. I'm telling you.
He was having a
Please,
bad day, and he probably forgot to
please.
take a lot of Titan. Like he probably
No.
was like, I ran out of Titan. Oh shit, I can't break out anymore.
This big hulking monster, he sees this flimsy metal gate, and he's like, that's it. I'm beaten. I am defeated. I must beg for help and freedom. It's the whole free me dialogue as well. That was so unsatisfying. So unsatisfying.
Although I will say this though, I have this favorite moment of mine, like from that fight where Bane and Batman team up to fight a group of thugs.
Yeah, the Titan
And
guards.
while you're fighting the thugs, if Bane accidentally hits you, like
You get
Bane
hit,
sends
you
you
get hit.
flying across
Yeah,
the room,
Yeah.
and Bane's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Batman. That wasn't my intention." And I'm like, it's so comical in my opinion. Like hearing Bane say that, like you're flying across the room, and Bane's like, "I'm
Oops.
sorry, Batman. I did not want
Oops,
to."
my
You're like,
bad.
"Oops." I love that point, honestly. Like that's one of my
You ran over
memorable
with your car
points
last
from that.
year, and I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
Like,
totally
hit me with
not
the car.
payback.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a payback. I accidentally hit you. We're good buddies now.
But yeah, that was a
I love that
disappointing.
moment.
That was a disappointing side mission, all in all, man. Because I
Overall,
expected
it was
a bigger
disappointing,
payout
yeah.
at the end.
Mhm.
But yeah, what to do, I guess. But yeah, that was it for side missions then, right?
Those are the side missions. I guess you're good to cover the thugs post game now.
Yeah. We should talk about that. We definitely should.
Yeah. So the thing with Asylum is once you're done with the game, you're done with the game.
That's it.
I mean, it makes sense lore-wise, right?
Yeah.
They've all been put away, either sent back to
Yeah.
Blackgate or put back in their cells in the asylum. Obviously, there wouldn't be anyone around. Not very good staff if there was, but if it's Arkham City, it's literally a mega prison where their cell is literally outside.
Yeah.
So of course there's going to be thugs around. You're not killing anyone, so the numbers are going to dwindle. So yeah, thugs outside, so you can kind of free roam with some bit more entertainment to go around.
Yeah, because even after you're done, with everything, even though you've 100%ed your save, you can still return to it and just mess around a little, live in the nostalgia a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a
Yeah.
good notion on Rocksteady's part, just for the veteran players, I guess,
Yeah.
to be able to go back to their old saves and cry a little whilst dodging bullets.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that bit. It was a good addition.
Yeah.
The leveling was also another satisfying part about the gameplay. Because it was a very fair system, I guess, and in terms of how you could score and in terms of what gadgets you could get, it really wasn't like you couldn't instantly like have an ultra Batman. You had to work your way up, and I
Yeah.
think that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that wraps it up for gameplay, don't you
That
think?
wraps up for gameplay.
Oh, we've rambled on for a long time.
For a long time, but I think Arkham City deserves that much.
Yeah, a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
What with the Robins that deserve to get shot, and Bane wanting payback, and
Yeah, for sure. Before we score, I'd like to remind you guys that we're scoring gameplay, not the idea that Bane had kind of surrendered very pathetically. So,
True.
so gameplay, right?
Yeah, gameplay.
Gameplay. All right, Ajman, you can go first this time.
So for the gameplay, like,
Yeah.
oh well, what's to say? Combat. The combat's variation is something like I've told you guys this before. I preferred this. Like I prefer Arkham City's combat over Asylum's.
Mm-hmm.
And even to a certain extent, Knights, because Knight kind of overpowered it, and Knight has a lot of like other enemy types we'll get into later, but I didn't prefer those ones.
Mm-hmm.
Cities one had the nice balance. It had the variation with the gadgets. You had lots of quickfire moves now
Yeah.
with these new gadgets, and I personally enjoyed. Like last night I was playing like some challenges like on the PC version of City, and I loved using all the variations again and again, and it kind of added to the fun of the game. Like Batman's this guy who's a billionaire and a tech genius, like to an extent that he has ideas for his tech, but others make it for him. But he's a genius who actually comes up with some of the ideas. So
True.
it was a good thing to see that come into play in this game. Like in City, I mean not in City, like in Asylum, he didn't have like a slew of gadgets. He was very limited, and you had to rely more on his combat. But it was good to see variation in the combat in City. It kind of prevented the game from becoming stale. You always had different ways of beating up your enemies.
So how would you rate it? How would you score it?
Well, like given all those points in, like I would say that I would honestly give it a 9.5.
A 9.5.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
generous.
All right. So Ajmain scores 9.5 decks for
Yeah. The
City's
only
gameplay.
the only issue that I would say that this game has is that it's a bit of a technical limitation, but sometimes it kind of misses your dodges and like stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
with some of the
I've
enemy
run
types.
into that. I've run into that a lot. But I guess
It
that's
misses
more
your
touch
dodges and
bugs.
you end up losing your combo streak. And you and I, like, we all know how important combo streaks are in an Arkham game.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a bummer, but aside from that, and it happened rarely, and like as far as I encountered it, it happened rarely. So aside from that, there was nothing wrong with the combat, in my opinion. So I give it a 9.5.
What about you, Danny?
Don't get me wrong, Batman's combat, Predator, Free Roam is fantastic. I love the boss battles to bits. The thing that lets me down is Catwoman, and I'm not a fan of the detective stuff. And both of those are quite a big factor of the game, especially if you want to get the 100%. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give it an 8.
An 8.
An 8.
So
All right.
9.5
That's
plus
fair.
8, and I guess it's my turn now. No
Yeah.
pressure. But yeah, all right. For me, obviously, the boss battles in this game said it to me every single time I revisit it. I think I've shown my love almost too much for the course of this podcast, but I have to say it. I love the boss battles, but I
We
cannot
all do.
I cannot enjoy them whilst having to deal with the dumb side missions like Zaz
Yeah, exactly.
and Deadshot and Bane.
Yeah.
And even within the challenge maps, having some disappointments with the Titans. And Catwoman, Jesus, I will never, ever, ever like those Predator encounters with Catwoman because they really, really make me want to just rage quit and jump back into Asylum, which is why, is with my deepest sense of condolences that I have to score City a 7.5.
Oh, come on.
The
All right, well,
blasphemous.
I am sorry, but I really just can't enjoy City sometimes, um, because of some of the gameplay dynamics, and I it is what it is. It is what it is. Um, and yeah, that gives us a total score of 8.
8.
8 decks.
8 decks. Which isn't terrible.
8 decks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
seems
it's actually great if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like 8. Yeah.
So 8 decks
glad that we got on
for
that.
gameplay for Arkham City. And I guess we're gonna ramble on next about what are we gonna ramble on next about? Character design. No, sorry. Well, I skipped
graphics and
it there.
technicalities.
Graphics and technicalities.
Yeah, graphics and technicalities.
Yeah,
Alright.
we'll be back with graphics and technicalities.
Alright.
then.
See you guys
Alright.
later. Have a good one.